My name is Alejandro Enamorado, a manager on the Capital Innovation and Engagement team at ReFed. It's great to see you all again here for our latest pitch event of the year, which is now open to the public. These events are hosted by the Food Waste Funder Circle, which is a network designed for private, public, and philanthropic funders interested in using their capital to solve food waste challenges. To learn more about the Food Waste Funder Circle and become a member, please visit the chat or the link in the chat right now. So last year, ReFed released our roadmap to 2030, which features 7 key action areas to help guide the food system in focusing its efforts to reduce food waste by 50%. Within each action area, there are a number of solutions that are detailed on the ReFed Insights engine. Today's session includes companies with solutions in the key action areas of optimizing the harvest, refining product management, maximizing product utilization, and strengthening food rescue. I'm excited to introduce you all to our pitching companies today, which are Metamyco, also known as Sincarne, Forager, the Applied AI Studio, ClearCOGS, and ANINA. Each organization has pre-recorded a pitch video for you, and after each video, we will ask a few live questions before moving on to the next. Please feel free to submit any questions for the presenting companies in the chat, where they'll be able to respond. We'll also collect the questions in the chat and follow up afterwards if we're not able to get to it. We have 1 whole hour today, and so with that, let's begin. Our first presentation will be from Metamyco or Sincarne, which focuses on transforming agricultural products, residues, and waste streams from food production into new foods and products via solid state fermentation with fungi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anat Natan, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of ANINA Culinary Art. Well, life is busy. Trust me, I'm a mother of 3. So what do people want when it comes to their nutrition? They want taste. Above all, they want health, convenience, sustainable consumption. But if they could have excitement, they would actually have it all. Well, not all categories are lucky. The ready meal market looks like this. If you want convenience, you have it, of course. But if you're looking for any sort of complete nutrition, sustainable consumption, or a culinary experience, you're out of luck. Or at least you used to be. The market opportunity of the ready meals is enormous. Only in the US, it is at the $52 billion and growing. And by the way, we're not only competing with the shelf stable, even though we are, but with the frozen, with the fresh, and with the chilled as well, from the consumer point of view. ANINA is here to transform and bring the next generation of ready-to-eat cook meals. Because what we are creating as ANINA is these amazing pods. And how do you cook it? You just take this pod, put it in a bowl with a cup of water, any water, by the way, doesn't matter, and you place it in the microwave or in a pot for a few minutes. It's cooked and you get this delicious, healthy nutrition with an amazing culinary experience every single time. Meet the next generation of how we're gonna consume our food. All 100% natural, ready-to-cook meal pod. It's rich in vegetables and nutrients and made from ugly produce. Yes, we upcycle, and we are members of the UFA proudly from September 20. Our product is a shelf-stable product with 12 months of shelf life, and it's very light, simple to carry, simple to transport, and makes an enjoyable experience. With our technology, we're able to put all these ingredients you see here on your left inside of this pod you see here on the right. And each of our pods contains 2 cups of vegetables, which are 2/3 of what's recommended for an adult in the US on a daily basis. By the way, less than 10% even reach this recommendation. But in above all this, it has very rich in protein and in fiber. So with ANINA, eventually, the consumers can actually have it all. They can have an amazing consumer experience and a healthy consumer experience and sustainable consumption with a very simple convenience method. Our unique technology enables us to take these beautiful zucchini and turn them into vegetable laminate. The place is exactly what you see here. Then turn them into these pods and eventually this meal. Our technology is protected with an IP, and the heart of it is this edible mechanism packaging, which are the laminates, which enable us to control when and how the capsule would break down during the cooking process to create this unbelievable organoleptic experience. We have a full scale-up production, mass production, to be able to reach mass production in 2024. We have just recently launched in Israel, and we are very successful in all this go-to-market when we're talking to the fast foodies, to the millennials, to the Gen Z, and all of them are early adopters who support and care about what they eat and how they eat it. We're working on offering them our product in online grab and go and specialty stores next year in the US. We are hoping to expand our range throughout the years and offering more. Meet the winning team of ANINA, expert in CPG, food and design, launched hundreds of products and brands throughout the years, and recently won the EY National Competition of All Food Tech and being selected to the 20 most promising startup of 2022. We're supported by tier 1 investors all over the world in food and in marketing, and we have key advisors, both operation and marketing, to win this. So thank you very much, and I hope we'll be able to cook the future together. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. So ANINA will be joining us a little later, and now we'll be moving on to Metamyco and Sincarne, which does focus on converting agricultural products into other items using solid state fermentation with fungi.
Hi, I'm Brian Septon, CEO and co-founder of Metamyco, formerly Sincarne.
Hi, I'm Rolando Perez, co-founder and CSO of Metamyco.
We're unlocking the potential of fungal fermentation. A strong opportunity exists today for cost-effective, animal-free, low-carbon footprint, low water use, foods, materials, and medicines. The problem is that though fungal strains could produce these from many waste feedstocks, they can't produce the desired products. And the reason for this is that fungal strains can't be engineered easily because there are no high throughput systems in existence today for fungal strain engineering. The current bioeconomy is broken. We're using ingredients that are too expensive, with bioreactor systems that are too expensive, with downstream processing that's too expensive to produce products which are also too expensive. What we're enabling is solid state fungal bioproduction, where waste streams from food waste, agricultural waste, and municipal waste can be transformed using solid state fermentation in trays and bins to produce fungal products like this block you see here that we produced in 48 hours from agricultural commodities with minimal downstream processing to produce products. And the good news is that these products overall, with ingredients, CapEx and OpEx, are less than 1/10 the cost of current bioproduction systems.
Fungi are great. They can use these solid wastes and they have lower water and CapEx and OpEx costs. But it's difficult to engineer fungi to produce the desired products. The solution is to better engineer fungi and produce a system that allows you to better engineer fungi at ultra high throughput, which doesn't exist today. This can combine with solid state, a deep sci end-to-end system from genomics to product will unlock lots of products. The deep sci approach allows us to back propagate the demand from the market, for instance, for a particular molecule like transferrin, all the way through the strains and feedstock so we can combine the right feedstock with the right strain and edits and the right processing to produce that desired product. This process, identifying a product opportunity, going to our strain bank and genome database, finding a promising strain, determining a course forward. Does the market allow GMO, in which case we use synthetic biology, or non-GMO and CRISPR editing to develop the strain, the process, and deliver that final product? At the core of it is design, build, test, learn cycle. In particular, for us, we use synthetic biology and nanotechnology and microfluidics to enable an ultra high throughput transformation and screening system. We have the right tools now. We have the right strains with the correct genetic background, selection markers and positive controls. We have the DNA constructs, the enzymes and reagents, and improved proprietary protocol that we're working on automating now, and the computational synthetic biology pipeline that underpins this disruptive ultra high throughput system for transformation and screening of fungal strains to enable new products. Our current product pipeline includes growth factors that are enabling, in fact, critical for the cellular ag industry. If we were able to, any company that is able to unlock the growth factors for less than $4 a gram is going to be highly critical to cell ag companies and beneficial. In the future, we'll develop foods, materials, and medicines that are advanced beyond anything that's available today.
And the way our company will make money is that early on, because of our targets and our likelihood of success, we're very attractive for partnerships with cell ag companies that are looking for these critical media components. As we go forward and enable our high throughput system, we'll produce a succession of products and have the ability to either spin these out into new companies themselves or to license them out. Right now, we're trying to raise $200,000 on a $4 million cap with using safes, and we plan to raise $1 to $2 million more before we have our first commercial products available in Q3 2023. We've built this team. There's myself, Brian Sefton. I have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry from UC Berkeley, as well as an MBA.
I'm Rolando Perez. I have a PhD in bioengineering from Stanford University, which I did in Drew Endy's lab and focused on engineering macrofungi.
And we'll have Jason Stajic, PhD, as a key advisor. He's co-chair of the 1,000 Fungal Genomes Project for JGI Department of Energy and a professor at UC Riverside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. And also thank you, Rolando, which is Sincarne's CTO, and they'll both be joining us today. Awesome. So Brian, if you could actually help us understand a bit more about the business that you're presenting today. In terms of the actual process that you showed, is any of it patentable, and are any parts of it proprietary?
I'll let Rolando, since he's my technical lead, answer that.
Yes, Alejandro, thank you. Yes, our many aspects of our technology are patentable. We have avenues for composition of matter patents as well as process patents. You can imagine we are working on particular patents on particular molecules and compositions for those molecules, strains, and as well as our processes for creating those products.
Okay, perfect. And could you describe the end products that these processes create in a little more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to discuss. So right now, we're really focused on these molecules that are important for cell ag and, of course, making that impact on the food system. We take these wastes and convert them with fungi into these very valuable products. And these will be molecules that can be proteins, they can be small molecules, and so these will be important for enabling these other industries.
Perfect. And actually, to bring a lot of people here on the journey, what is the normal selling process to provide like the let's say, these molecules to the businesses that you're selling to them?
You asked what's the selling process?
Yeah, how would you describe the selling process to be?
Well, we plan to be selling these as relatively pure compounds that then those companies will use to make formulations of their cell-free, or not cell-free, but animal-free media for growing cell ag products. So that's something you see across this industry. We've talked to a lot of cell ag companies, and this is what their kind of secret defining thing is how they're making this media, but they need these ingredients for the media. So it's a very strong demand for products.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it seems like it's a case by case depending on the customer that you're selling it to.
Right.
Maybe following up on that, I know that this business is like early stage, but I'd like to see, like, do you have any contracts in place with any existing customers, or how have the conversations gone so far?
Well, it's too early for that, but we do have contacts and discussions with people who are potential users of our product. So we're very sure about the demand. There's also some very good reports out there. There's the Open Philanthropy report on cell ag techno-economic analysis that really pinpoints these exact things as being the critical enabling technologies that are these products are required to make cell ag a reality. And then also there's the counter article, which is, again, some people may be familiar with. The other thing just to point out here that may be interesting, we're also upcycling, right? So we do have relationships with some food production companies, and there's one particular one we have a relationship now and are evaluating using their side stream as a feedstock. And so this is, we're a two-sided company in that sense. We make products, but we're also upcycling products. And that's part of the power of our system, really, is that fungi are able to use these very low-cost substrates that are highly abundant. And that's what really is critical. This is you could say, a big economic need that our company solves.
Yeah, that actually touches upon my very last question, which is going to be like, what are you most excited about, like, when it comes to this opportunity that you're pursuing?
Well, we're most excited, I would say, about, it's a very exciting place to be, because on the one hand, we're trying to make things that will enable a new industry, cell ag, and it's dependent upon these things. And, I should say, I'm myself a very climate tech focused VC, and the biggest impact we can make on climate and GHG mitigation is by enabling alternate proteins that don't use animal agriculture. You don't have to eliminate animal agriculture, but reducing the consumption of, say, beef by 20 or 30% would just have a profound impact. And really, cell ag is the highest promise in that. And then, also, I would say we're very excited about unlocking this potential of fungi to convert these very abundant waste streams, which really, as we were saying in our presentation, the current bioeconomy has this problem of costs. We see it, the companies go to scale, and then they just, in most cases, just don't perform, and it's because of the economics.
Thank you, Brian. And so with that, we will be moving on to our next presentation, which will be from Forager, whose mission is to make local food more widely available for everyone by removing the cost and friction in the procurement process. Forager organizes and digitizes the entire local supplier buyer base, ultimately reducing food waste along the supply chain.
Hello, my name is Michael Norton. I'm the CEO of Forager. Forager is a lean ag tech company based in Freeport, Maine. Our team consists of 3 full-time employees and our founder as executive chairman. David Stone started Forager after exiting his startup gift card business in order to get local food more readily available in the retail marketplace here in the state of Maine. I joined Forager in February this year after spending the past 20 years in the commercial fishing and retail food industry. Most recently spent time in e-commerce food, preventing food waste at Imperfect Foods. In addition to David and I, our Director of Operations, Emily Lefebvre, has spent her time in her career in the food industry, both in food service, produce merchandising, and retail co-op food stores. Here at Forager, our mission is to make local food more widely available for everyone by removing the cost and friction in the procurement process. We currently have a digital network of 400 active suppliers, 6,000 farms, 40 active buyers. Those buyers are primarily retail food chains and co-op food stores located in 10 states. I joined Forager in order to dig deeper into the root cause of the problems that prevent nutritious food from being consumed and how I could address those issues in a meaningful solution that is economically viable in the supply chain and local economies. Having worked for a large food retail chain, I saw the dependency on the industrial food system and primarily the distributor model and how it prevents small local companies from scaling and utilizing the food they work so hard to create. The three key components of the food system are direct-to-consumer of hubs, food distributors, and food recoverers. Those markets tend to be fragmented and do not operate cohesively. Startups have proliferated and try to address these issues. Mainly big food pipelines, so-called digital distributors or marketplaces, primarily target large farms and foreign farms and have barriers that local farms and suppliers find difficult to meet. No one in the market is working to solve the real problem. No one is building a real solution. No one is addressing the local producers that do not fit the industrial food system demands. Every other solution generates waste. For every dollar you spend in the system, you're perpetuating the system. Food waste is food not consumed or food left in the ground. So how do we get this nutritious food to those who want to buy it and those who cannot afford it? Well, the solution is really Forager. However, Forager is not just a technology, it's a technology built for a more local and resilient and democratic food system. It's safer, faster, healthier for the consumer and the environment, and more equitable. Forager digitizes the key main manual processes in the supply chain, not only by bringing together all of your suppliers so you have one commerce site where you can quickly place orders, we further take care of the managing orders, communication, invoicing, and payments, reducing costs and waste significantly, while at the same time making it much easier to source locally. We want to digitize local small farms and producers. We want to create a democratic food system. We want to provide visibility of food availability. We want to create the ability to connect to buyers and create the ability to connect to food recoverers. And we want to create and provide analytics to farmer and producers to forecast demand for future crop products. In 2020, I began talking with Four Roots. It's a 501c located in Orlando, Florida. Four Roots wants to empower their partners to develop long-term solutions that promote ongoing food security throughout their neighborhoods. Their vision is to have children consume nourishing, locally grown food, farmers doing what they do best, which is growing quality, nutritious food and being stewards to the land. And they also want a community that consumes local food and knows where it comes from and addressing it in the growing, distributing, and preparing local food to create a prospering economy. Four Roots has partnered with Feed the Need. In 2021, Four Roots and Feed the Need partnership addressed food insecurity, democratizing food and local food with great results. Their issue is how do they get more nutritious food into their system in an efficient way to grow their movement and improve more lives. They have already made progress in key metrics in meals served, jobs created, and pounds of produce distributed to those in need. So what is preventing them from scaling? Well, they need a digital backbone and they need more food. Forager as the digital backbone in partnership with Four Roots, we will be well positioned to scale, identify resources, and deliver the digital platform and create a new democratized local food system. We are currently in the process of digitizing 50 plus farms for Four Roots. These farms will have live inventory visible to a network of nonprofits, restaurants, and retail partners to purchase through Four Roots and provide funding to the foundation, which will create an economically viable model outside the industrial food system. This create, activate theme for limited access and resource communities will work to create new markets for small farmers and activate small community-based businesses that collect, store, deliver, and sell surplus food. These will be activated by new ways to make money, especially organizations like Four Roots and other nonprofits. This goes beyond food waste reduction because it's an economic machine for growth. It provides access to nutritional food, and Four Roots needs more food in their system. They have the physical means to move the goods. Now they have a digital backbone to execute and analytics to support decision-making. For funding, we are asking for $1 million as part of the first phase of a two-phase approach. Phase one would be to fund the regional approach from Florida to Georgia, which would be focused on growing and onboarding the farm network, which will create new markets for nutritious food while developing the software product to provide real-time notification tools and analytics. Phase two would commence with another round of funding once we have finished phase one and have the system all in the process, all framed out for national growth. This is when we would also like to invest in a predictive analytical tool now that we have established a regional foundation with good data. Thank you for your time. I look forward to discussing how we can make this partnership thrive and create a new nutritious food system.
Thank you for joining us, Michael. Michael is also being joined by Trip Snelson of Four Roots to answer any questions about their partnership. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey. So to help tell your story, we wanted to find out a little bit more about what your revenue model is.
Sure. So within Forager, customer products are listed on the Forager platform, and they will contain a small markup in the price of each product. So this markup is the fee that we collect during the electronic payment pass-through. And like with all customers, Forager's revenue scales as the volume scales over the platform. So we try to come up with a pricing agreement that works for all customers based on the projected volume and the cost of maintaining their local food system.
Perfect, thank you. And looking forward, it appears like a significant portion of your expansion plan is designed around this Four Roots partnership digital backbone. How does Four Roots make money in this kind of model? Is it a rev share, or is it structured as business as usual?
Sure. So within this partnership, we would make money through this revenue share program we've come up with. So basically, Forager would get 5% of the sales. And then from that, Forager would donate 2% of the sales back into the Four Roots Foundation.
Okay, perfect. And actually, we have a question from one of our audience members, Michael. How are farms and other partners in the value chain of the company recruited and onboarded?
Trip, you want to take that one?
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Yes, so we currently are blessed to have a network not only of farmers, but customers that we are working with on a day-to-day basis to build a stronger regional food system. And we have already onboarded 10 farmers to the Forager platform, 3 customers, and we're presently working with converting 6 customers as we speak today. And based on our experience over a 3-year period, we estimate that we could bring an additional 200 farms, an additional 200 customers onto the platform. And although there would be some type of a ramp up period over a 3-year period, we think we could generate probably 1.5 farmers a week on the platform and 1.5 customers added on a regular basis. And that would be a combination of electronic web meetings as well as in-person engagements to train folks along with the customer support that Forager provides as to how to use the platform.
Thank you, Trip. And I'd say, like, following up on that, for each of those stakeholders, so let's say farmers, suppliers, and buyers, how long does it take for them typically to ramp up on this system?
It'll typically take them several months, and one of the concepts that we've discovered is one of the initial challenges relates to logistics, and that's something that we're also blessed to be able to provide support. As particularly you get short shelf life product that gets advertised and likely would have gone to waste, one of the challenges often is transportation as users get ramped up on the platform. And we have a 30,000 square foot warehouse in the heart of Orlando, as well as 2,500 square foot of walk-in refrigeration space that can be used to help those people as they onboard and get further developed onto the platform. So that's one of the things that our current network can provide.
Thank you, Trip, and thank you, Michael. Thank you for joining us today. Now we're going to be moving on to our next presentation, which is from Applied AI Studio, whose AI anticipates food waste, arranges for donations, and generates tax deductions, making it easy for food producers to participate and benefit.
We waste a lot of food, about 25%. Meanwhile, 10% of people go hungry. We built an AI that helps feed people. Take, for example, a typical supermarket. If the system anticipates that lettuce will go to waste, it will arrange for a charity to pick the food up. For example, Hildred is a grocery store manager. The system tells Hildred what to donate and when. Rudy works for a local charity. The system tells Rudy what to pick up and when. Finally, the system updates Hildred on its ongoing accuracy and financial impact. The system also helps the supermarket take a new tax deduction. The supermarket gets higher profit. People in need get meals. For a typical store, we could rescue 50 tons of food a year. That's 20 tons of CO2 and 80,000 meals. That's the vision behind Second Harvest AI. We've found an $80 billion market that's sustainable and good for the environment, but taking advantage means understanding how to build and deploy enterprise software. Logan and I have been a team for almost 10 years. We're experts at building enterprise AI systems. We've completed the development of the software. We're now actively seeking our first full pilot. In an industry where profit margins are razor thin, turning an expense into a deduction has a large impact on the profit margin. We're seeking $250,000 in funding to give us the runway we need to complete our first full pilot milestone. We've completely bootstrapped the company, our cap table is clean, and we expect to be profitable in 2 years. Finally, we're supported by a strong group of advisors with experience in everything from early startup to mature operations.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry's going to be joining us on our screen very shortly. Hello, Jerry.
Hi, Alejandro. How are you?
Doing well, and welcome.
Thank you.
So just to level set for everyone here, we have seen quite a few of these tech-enabled solutions that are built for nonprofits. So Jerry, how is Second Harvest AI differentiated from those offerings that are already out there in the market?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of the alternative offerings really focus on providing donation services, and they focus on goodwill as the primary motivation. By contrast, ours is a technical platform for direct economic impact, for increasing the profit margin. We just so happen to also do good.
That makes sense. And maybe like to dig into your actual product itself, I would like to ask a bit about like the AI component, or like what is the nature of that within Second Harvest?
Yeah, of course. So there's 3 levels of artificial intelligence that we end up using. The first is very simple linear predictions. So we take the survivability of the food. We look at when the food's coming in, how long it's been on the shelf, and we're able to predict out when that food needs to is about to go to waste. Now, with the example that you saw with Hildred, the store manager, she's available to override any of the recommendations made by the artificial intelligence and that's where our second level comes in, where we have reinforcement learning that learns the preferences of the user at that particular location and then adjusts the recommendations based on that feedback. Now, the third level of artificial intelligence is in the coordination with the charities themselves. There's a lot of scheduling that needs to go on, a lot of verification to handle that logistics. And then we have what we call goal-oriented action planning. It's a technique that we've actually adopted from video games.
Fascinating, Jerry. And maybe thinking about the customer themselves, what kind of existing systems do retailers need to have in place in order for your solution to work?
Yeah, we've made it as simple as possible. So the system itself runs as a service. So we run all of that. We have two integration points. There's a point of sales and inventory. Once we plug into that, we're up and running. In fact, in our pilot, all we do is plug into that. We plug in, we run the system without actually using it, and we're able to tell the customers how much they're losing by not using the system.
That makes a lot of sense. And knowing that you're looking for a pilot partner, what would be the ideal, like, could you describe the profile of the partner that you try to look for?
Yeah, there's partners and there's customers. So an ideal, well, our target customers are food service, restaurants, and grocery stores. The ideal customer is a mid to large size grocery store. That's really our first target for a pilot. So we're at the stage where we're actively seeking those pilots. Now, to that end, our partner, we have partnered with Accenture. They've agreed to showcase us in their innovation hub in Chicago. They have a beautiful facility, mock kitchen, such where our software will be. Plus, Chicago is a center, it's a hub for reaching those types of clients. So that's the primary partner that we'll be using in order to go out into the market and get our first pilot.
Really looking forward to seeing your progress there. We have a question from someone in the audience. How is the platform protected from a potential competitor for doing the same thing or replicating it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's two levels of the moat, I guess, is really what the question is about. There's the technical aspect. So the system itself, it has an interface to it that's fairly simple, pretty straightforward to explain, but actually creating the technology, doing the reinforcement learning, doing the projections, and most importantly, doing the logistics planning is actually very complicated to do. So that's the first technical barrier. The second barrier is organizational. It's doing the integration. The hard part of getting enterprise software up and running is to plug it into the existing system, to get that integration to be smooth, and to get your service running smoothly. That's where Logan and I have tons of experience with running these types of enterprise systems. That's where the big barrier to entry really is.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And last question from another audience member. Have you built this in collaboration with other retailers?
No. So my co-founder and I, we've built this ourselves. Now, we've had advice from customers, our target customers as well as our partners, but the IP is completely owned by the Applied AI Studio, completely developed by the Applied AI Studio.
Thank you for joining us again, Jerry.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. And so next up, we have a presentation from ClearCOGS, a for-profit that uses machine learning and AI to create daily prep level recommendations for restaurants that reduce waste while also decreasing product stockouts.
First off, thanks for having me, and a big thank you to ReFed for all you guys do. My name's Matt Wampler. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ClearCOGS. I'm going to run you through some numbers you guys probably already know. 30 to 40% of food in the US is thrown out each year. And when you look at restaurants, 4 to 10% of all the food that comes in the back door doesn't actually even make it to the customer. And that's a particularly large problem for the restaurant industry because, look, that food's gone through the entire supply chain and is probably heavily processed. And as we know, processed foods have a disproportionate impact on the environment compared to something like an apple falling off the tree and going back into the ground. So when we look over the food waste landscape, the first thing we always see is changing customers' behavior, consumer behavior, is the single biggest opportunity. It's something we need to continue to do and continue to fight for, but it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take a long time. So we like to move that to the side and look at some of the areas where we can have an immediate impact. And the first thing you notice here is that it's really not about the harvest, and it's really not about rescue and recycling. They have a great and important role to play. But the real meat and potatoes is managing that food across the supply chain and in our retailers. Now, it seems kind of odd because we see a lot of buzz and interest when it comes to rescue and recycle, whether that's the California law for composting or whether we're looking at some companies like Too Good To Go. Again, fantastic companies, but they're treating the symptom. They're not actually treating the ailment. So, why isn't this happening in the restaurant industry? We've seen it happen in the grocery industry with companies like Shelf Engine and A-Fresh. And particular thing I love about A-Fresh is one of their lines, tech that teams love. I mean, when we think about it, this is an inefficiency problem. You know, restaurants lose money every time they're not selling that food. It's also hurting the planet. So when you solve it, it solves it for everybody. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Why is it this way? This is actually an illustration drawn by one of our team members. She's been in the restaurant industry for 30 years. Basically, when you're running a restaurant, a lot of times it feels like you're rowing a boat with a bunch of holes in it, and you're just constantly bailing out water. And you're spending so much time and energy bailing out water, you don't even have a chance to think, let alone fix the boat. Now, we're thrown into a totally new environment. There's constant change in the restaurant industry after COVID. We've got tons of closures, right? We've got compounding issues in labor and food costs. They don't have the time or the energy to really go in and solve this internally. They want to, they just don't have the ability. So what's ClearCOGS? Well, here's how I like to describe it. Imagine the perfect shift, one where everything goes right, where there's no surprises, where you can focus on the team, the details, your customer. Let me start by talking about what ClearCOGS isn't. We're not more data. In fact, we're the answers to the questions you ask every day. We're the interface that allows the end user to actually access machine learning and get the information that they need. We answer the questions like, how many bagels do I need to bake this morning? How much more chicken do I need to grill? What do I need to order for tomorrow? We're simple answers, helping restaurants to make better decisions. And when you have better decisions, you have fewer mistakes, you got lower stress, and more importantly, you have less food waste. And when you can implement a solution like this with the actual information that the end user needs, we've seen tremendous responses. We're able to decrease food waste by up to 51% using nothing but data alone. We started out as an enterprise software focusing on large franchises with the data in one order and their operations the same. It made a lot of sense, but I'm really excited to announce we've just launched an automated onboarding platform that's going to allow for every mom and pop user to be able to access the same technology to manage their food waste. I'd be remiss if I didn't throw a big thank you out to my team because they're the ones that made this happen. It's been an incredible effort on their part. In summary, we're a SaaS-style software for the restaurant industry. We just closed up our pre-seed round. We're going to be raising a seed early next year. We're no longer pre-revenue, which is an exciting time for us. So I'd just like to say thank you for your time and continue the good fight.
Thank you for joining us, Matt. after watching that presentation, it kind of makes me want to stand up too. He's going to be joining very shortly. Awesome. Great to see you.
Oh, thanks for eFed for doing this event. We really appreciate it.
And so I guess like for everyone in the audience, we know that a lot of food waste solutions actually end up being quite difficult to adopt for smaller to medium-sized firms. And so that's why we're really excited about that automated platform. Matt, could you describe a bit more what your target customer is with that in terms of, and think about it from like a volume perspective and maybe from pricing too?
Yeah, it's tough because every restaurant's completely unique, right? They all have different systems, procedures, waste streams, right? So it's hard to put them in a bucket, but we really like the, fast casual QSR segments, hopefully greater than 5 to 10 units.
Okay, sounds good. And maybe thinking about your customers themselves, how do you convince them, I guess, future customers, how do you convince them to adopt your software? And is it typically a restaurant to restaurant pitch?
Yeah, and we have customers, and it's actually really been very simple. We sit down, we listen to their needs, we tell them what we do, and for the most part, they all just say yes. I mean, the sales part hasn't really been too difficult, but most of the time they're really focused on like, how do I systemize how we manage and forecast what we're supposed to prep each day. They want that systemization. They also love the peace of mind they get by not having to worry about it, knowing that it's just there. And, lastly, I mean, if you're bumping their profit margin by 5-10%, that's always a motivating factor.
Yeah. I guess you actually kind of covered what typically resonates with customers. And maybe I want to flag something for the audience here. Like Matt, you also come from a food business background. Is that correct?
Yeah, come from the restaurant industry.
That's awesome. And so actually moving on to the product itself, even though you say, and like the pitch outlined that this product is the answers, what kind of data do you need for this solution to work?
Yeah, so we pull in all of their POS data. Luckily in the restaurant industry, they've adopted an open API, so data is pretty readily available. And we're not a full integration. We're one way, we just pull data down. So we get their data, we take their recipes, and then ultimately we just need to get from them the knowledge of like, all right, what is it you're looking to solve, and a few answers around, some of the constraints.
And so we actually have a question from the audience here. How do you scale the mom and pop industry if you have to customize for every small customer?
Gosh, and it's a difficult problem, and it's one that we've wrestled with for 18 months. And that's why we're so excited about this platform we're launching, where we can really remove the consultative style approach that we've done in the past and be able to allow them to basically ask the system questions, and the system's going to ask them some questions back so that we can extract that information. At the end of the day, this is as much about communicating with customers as it is about machine learning and AI.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it looks like we have another question from the audience. I know you've mentioned that you do have you actually have a lot of customers in terms of more the franchise model, but I just wanted to ask, how many customers right now do you have location wise, just for the audience?
Yeah, around 100 right now, primarily are Jimmy John's. But I think we're bringing on a burrito chain. We started bringing on last week, and we have a breakfast chain we brought on 3 weeks ago. And I think we've got a chicken tenders place that we're bringing on in 2 weeks.
That sounds great. It already sounds like you have a lot of momentum, and just wishing you just continued success, Matt.
We're doing our best. We're a small, scrappy team, and it's a lot of work, but we're loving it.
Love it. Okay, well, Matt, thank you again. And now it looks like we are towards the end of our event. So we heard from the ANINA pitch earlier at our event today, and unfortunately, it looks like Anat will not be able to join us. So we'll follow up with any additional info from her and the ANINA team following today's event and send those questions that you asked and wanted to hear about. And so I've already said thank you to Matt, but I want to say a big thank you to all the excellent pitches that we've heard from today, and to thank everyone here who joined. You can reach out to the companies directly using the contact information from our regular deal flow report if you are a member of the Food Waste Funder Circle, but also please let us know if you'd like us to facilitate any other introductions. You're going to see a poll appear on your screen, so that'll help us facilitate any further connections. And so while that poll is there, I'm going to continue talking. If you're a capital provider who is not already a member of the Food Waste Funder Circle, we'd love for you to join us. In addition to these quarterly pitch events, we have a we give periodic educational webinars, networking events, and we share deal flow every month. You can learn more from the webpage listed in the chat and join by filling out the following survey. And if you have any feedback on our session today, please email my colleague Sarah at sarah.munger@refed.org. We're still in our first year of hosting these sessions, and so we welcome any suggestions you may have. And so with that, I would like to say we are looking forward to seeing you at the next pitch event, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alejandro. Have a great